WCVB Channel 5, a City Line Chronicle special, Memphis to Massachusetts, a conversation on race, reform, and policing. Now, your hosts, Karen Holmes Ward and Anthony Everett.
Good evening, everyone. It has been a difficult few weeks. The beating death of Tyre Nichols at the hands of 5 police officers after a traffic stop, captured on video, has caused pain and heartache that reverberates well beyond Memphis. Those officers now face murder charges, and the fallout continues.
Well, while Memphis is 1,300 miles from Boston, the issues concern us all. Tonight, City Line and Chronicle have come together for a discussion on the issues that continue to plague our communities and that have played out in front of us on video time and time again.
It doesn't matter if the officers are black, Hispanic, or white. It's part of the culture, the implicit bias police culture that exists in America.
The death of Tyre Nichols.
Renewing demands for police reform.
I, and like so many of you, did not need to see another video to know that there remains tremendous work to do to address corruption, police brutality, and racial justice in Massachusetts and in this country.
Tonight, examining the ongoing effort to address police violence.
Anytime you see things like that, any type of misconduct, severe misconduct like that by a police officer, whether it happens here in Massachusetts or across the country, that has a reverberating effect.
Local leaders on the policies and the impact on communities of color.
And our guest to begin tonight's show, Tanisha Sullivan, president of the Boston branch of the NAACP. Thank you for being here.
And Daniel Mulhern, former first assistant district attorney in Suffolk County and former director of public safety under Mayor Marty Walsh. He's now a partner with the law firm Nutter, McKinnon and Fish. Tanisha and Daniel, welcome to you both. So we want to start and ask both of you this question. Tanisha and Dan, share with us your reaction to the events in Memphis and your thoughts on the fact that we're back here again. Once more, having had this conversation after yet another devastating death unfolded on video.
I think separate and apart from the fact that that captured actions and conduct of police officers just on a human level, the video footage from Memphis was virtually impossible to watch. It was impossible to absorb and make any sense of, and it creates challenges, I think, for all of us when we talk to our neighbors, in my case, my children, about what to expect when they leave the front door of our home. It was incredibly difficult to watch, and my hearts and prayers go out to Mr. Nichols' family and, frankly, the whole city of Memphis.
Tanisha, your thoughts?
Yes, I mean, it is tragic that we're here yet again, yet another really unnecessary death of a black man after an interaction with law enforcement. Here we are again. Certainly there's the pain just on a human level, to Dan's point, of seeing another human being having to go through that. As an advocate, it is incredibly frustrating because we definitely see this as something that could be preventable in many respects if we were to really lean in on policy change and a commitment to reform.
We're not going to show a lot of this, but you can see in the video that as the police approach Tyre Nichols' car, they do so in a very aggressive manner, and he appears to be cooperating. His immediate response is, "I didn't do anything." So let's take a quick look at that.
Damn, I didn't do anything. Hey, I didn't hurt you. All right. On the ground. Hey, you don't do that, okay? Get on the ground.
That's a very aggressive approach, it seems to me, and it's almost as if you can hear him in his own mind thinking, "I've seen this movie before, and I'm going to cooperate." What does this tell us about the expectation that a person of color has when they get pulled over by police?
Look, I mean, that's real. I mean, being, especially within the Black community, we are, from a very young age, taught how to interact with law enforcement, because we have seen, unfortunately, this happen before, where what would otherwise perhaps be a minor traffic stop turning into a deadly interaction. And so, yes, when you are Black, when you're a person of color, and you see those blue lights behind you, there's a fear that comes, and parents, of course, again, to Dan's point earlier, parents oftentimes are deeply concerned when their children are leaving about those potential interactions with law enforcement, because they can end up like this.
And Dan, just quickly, what do you think when you see police officers approaching a stop in that manner? Doesn't that seem excessive in and of itself a bit?
Sure. I think the irony for me, Anthony, is the law enforcement officials that I've spoken to here in our region, in our area, in particular in Boston, and the leadership, past colleagues, have the same response that Tanisha and I do when they view that video. The law enforcement past colleagues that I've spoken to don't see any proper protocols that were followed, tone. They don't see, frankly, anything that was done properly when they watch that. So it's important, I think, to say out loud that there are many partners in the law enforcement community that are equally outraged by what they saw.
Dan, there have been calls for police reform issued before, and in fact, here in Massachusetts, lots of reforms enacted in 2020, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But calls for police reform are often interpreted as not backing the blue. Dan, speak to a little bit about the balance of supporting law enforcement, but also building trust in the community, and talk about some of the challenges that you faced in the Suffolk County DA's office.
Sure. So I think you both know I was then district attorney, now U.S. Attorney's first assistant, Rachel Rollins, and she had a keen sense of the perception of law enforcement, and I was a longtime career prosecutor, and the perception of the prosecutor's office and their interaction with the police community. One of the things that then District Attorney Rollins did in response to use of force investigations, fatal or non-fatal, is created an outside team to be part of how we looked at police conduct. She also had the keen sense to understand that for that to be productive, law enforcement had to be involved in those critical and constructive conversations. And what I have seen often when we've maybe come up short is that people don't show up at this table like Tanisha and I are at to have difficult conversations. So reform comes slowly, as I think we all recognize, but there has to be a commitment that means that you always show up for conversations, good, bad, or in the middle. And most importantly, you listen and then take steps. Sometimes that they may appear small to our neighbors, but steps to move the needle in the correct direction.
And Tanisha, I'm sure you would agree, it's important for law enforcement to be involved in these conversations.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the work that we did through the NAACP at both the municipal level in Boston and also at the state level was very intentional about sitting around the table with law enforcement to find advanced solutions. I do want to raise, though, that while we have been here in Massachusetts, I think, very focused on reform and doing what we can to strengthen public safety, accountability, and transparency, we have had some very serious, incidents in the past few years that have resulted in deaths. Immediately coming to mind would be Terrence Coleman. Cambridge is wrestling with one of those challenges today, and so I do think it's important for us to be mindful that we are not exempt or immune here in Massachusetts from these types of situations. But I also believe that it is critically important that we not give up on working to make advancements.
And to pick up on that, we want to make very clear that we extended an invitation to Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox or a member of his team to participate in our show tonight, but the department declined. A public relations representative speaking on behalf of the Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association also declined to participate tonight.
Coming up, we're going to be joined by the head of the new commission in Massachusetts charged with supervising police conduct and training in Massachusetts, and we'll ask what more can be done.